I think for me, self-love has been a big topic, a big thing of interest. And I just sort of had a realization recently that, my purpose here is to really love myself. So loving myself unconditionally, all parts of me, and just exploring who I am. And mindful practices have been a big part of that. And as I've gone through my journey, it's something that I'm wanting to then share with others. So my mission is to sort of empower individuals to use mindfulness tools to be able to support themselves.
Welcome to the Self-Care Goddess Podcast, where healing stories, practical self-care strategies, and science-backed tools to regulate stress, feel calm, grounded, and energized come together to help you reclaim your vitality. I'm your host, Rita Savoya, holistic nutritionist, trauma-informed breathwork coach, and founder of Breathwork Barista. This podcast is for women who are ready to restore their energy and radiance, reconnect with their bodies, reawaken their inner power, and redefine self-care as a way of being. Through science meets soul practices, restorative mind-body tools, and real stories of transformation, we'll explore how true well-being can help you live with more joy, vibrant health, and authentic connection to yourself and those you love. Take a deep breath in, let it go, and let's begin. Hello, hello, and welcome to another episode of the Self-Care Goddess Podcast with today's theme, Embracing the Flow of Life. Before I introduce our next guest, I would love for us to get into coherence. So maybe taking a few breaths, a little deeper, a little slower than usual, and just to allow yourself to be present. So if you can, lowering your gaze, or if you're feeling comfortable, even closing your eyes for just a couple of moments here, allowing those inhales to expand the belly, the rib cage, the chest, and then exhaling a little slower, a little deeper than usual through the mouth with a gentle sigh. Inhaling, feeling the expansion. Exhaling, letting go, releasing of what maybe feels a little uncomfortable. Maybe there's some heaviness there. Maybe it's just tightness or tension. So relieving that, releasing it with each and every exhales, following the breath, breathing a little slower, a little deeper than usual. And on your next inhale now, I invite you to breathe in and out of the heart area. Where attention goes, energy flows. So let's energize this beautiful organ that's keeping you alive. And as you inhale in and out of the heart, I now invite you to visualize someone that you're grateful for today. Visualize this person as if they were right here in front of you. And I invite you to send them all the love, the gratitude, and the appreciation for being in your life. And now I invite you to send the same love, gratitude, and appreciation. Send it back to yourself for being here, taking the time out of your busy day to just tune in with your body, with your mind, with your heart. On your next inhale, flutter your eyes open and come back to us. Thank you for participating in that quick coherence technique. Such a beautiful way to get into coherence with your heart, your mind, and your body. And when you are in coherence, beautiful things happen. Which one of them is to be open, to just stay open, stay curious with this conversation that we're about to have with an incredible guest today. I'm so excited to have you on. Today's guest is someone who gently guides others back to themselves. Erica is a Toronto-based mindfulness guide and the founder of Aura, Body and Home, where she supports individuals in reclaiming inner peace and deepening their self-connection through practices like yoga, Pilates, meditation, sound, and reflection. Her work is rooted in creating space to slow down, to listen, and to reconnect with the body in the present moment in a meaningful and sustainable way. And beyond her calming presence, there's a fun and vibrant side to Erica. She's been a devoted Marvel fan since her teenage years and even had the opportunity to meet the late Stan Lee at Comic-Con. And if her life were a soundtrack right now, it would be Float by Janelle Monáe, a reflection of her ability to move through life with flow, ease, and intention. Erica, I'm so excited to have you here. Welcome to the Self-Care Goddess Podcast. How are you today?
Thank you. I am very well. I was grateful for you. in terms of thinking of that person. So thank you very much for inviting me to be here.
Thank you. Thank you. So, I know I read your bio, but give us a little more background on your personal journey. Why are you on this mission that you're on today?
For me, I've just always really been curious about individuals. When I was in high school, I actually decided to study psychology because I wanted to get a better understanding of people and sort of groups. And while I had an interest in learning about others, I think I also had an interest in sort of understanding myself as well.
Mm.
And what I'm learning sort of at this point in my journey, because it's still happening,
Yeah.
I think for me, self-love has been a big topic, a big thing of interest. And I just sort of had a realization recently that, my purpose here is to really love myself.
Mm.
So loving myself unconditionally, all parts of me, and just exploring who I am. And mindful practices have been a big part of that. And as I've gone through my journey, it's something that I'm wanting to then share with others. So my mission is to sort of empower individuals to use mindfulness tools to be able to support themselves. And I know healing is sort of a big sort of word that gets thrown out there a lot, but I think it's more just reconnecting with ourselves, our desires, our heart, and really living through what we desire at a soul level. And caring for ourselves, reparenting ourselves. And I think that when we are better with ourselves, we can be more loving and kind with others. So it'd be a
Mhm.
very different world if people operated from their heart. Yeah, that's just me being an idealist, but
Uh, well, I'm with
yeah.
you. Definitely. I'm with you on that. Because I do feel that we are born with that beautiful connection to ourselves, right? With that
Mhm.
beautiful heart connection. And then life gets in the way. And then I love how you said reparenting. What does that mean exactly? What do you mean by that?
So, it'll probably come up in the conversation later, but I have been working a lot on mindset. And a part of that is spending a lot of time with my inner child and sort of trying to understand what are things that maybe she needed when, she was younger or that she still exists sort of within me. And sort of reparenting is spending time with her, like in my mind, or saying words that maybe I needed to hear for particular situations that I may or may not have told my parents, and I know my parents did the best that they could,
Yeah.
but here it's an opportunity for me to be sort of the mother of my younger self and to give her that love so that she can move on and let go of situations. And she also reminds me to be childlike and to still, live from
Mhm.
my heart. So many, many selves, but yeah, I think that that's sort of my definition and my understanding of reparenting right now.
And how you're doing it. Have you seen the Justin Bieber at Coachella? Have you seen it's making its round on social media? So he
No.
did something really cool with AI. Well, he was actually showing videos and pictures of him when he was younger. And
Mhm.
the theme or a few of the messages that he's trying to put out there, which is my, I guess, also interpretation is heal how important it is to heal that inner child or that younger self.
Mhm.
And it's interesting you say that because part of the breathwork experience I'd love for you one day, hopefully you can make it, is we do that. We actually go back to our younger self and just incredible transformations happen, breakthroughs happen with that. So, can you share with us maybe what has been so far? Because I'm sure, we keep revisiting other versions of our younger selves, right? And sort of reparenting other versions of ourselves. What has been the biggest breakthrough for you so far doing this
In terms
practice?
of reparenting,
Parenting, yeah.
I think just I guess when I envision spending time with her, it is I do want to be a mother, and sort of in a way it's allowing me to have that motherly presence with myself. So it's been more through
Mm.
visualization, or I do like to look at myself in the mirror, like look into my own eyes. And I had an interesting sort of experience with that where I felt that I was connecting with all versions of myself as I was looking into the mirror. It was almost
Wow.
like this, like kind of the snap, and I felt connected to different parts. So Yeah, it's been more through visualization of just wanting to hold her, or if it's a particular situation, maybe she's like sitting on my lap, or I don't know, just having her close, like knowing that she's not alone, or being curious with her. So it's still something that I'm kind of playing around with. And again, it comes intuitively. So if it's, a certain situation that maybe I'm thinking about, getting curious about, maybe thinking about what she might be thinking or what might help, or maybe trying to understand what I need. So yeah, still in exploration. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely work in progress. Is there a particular age that you go back to, or always where it changes based on the situation or how you're feeling?
Usually when I think of inner self, I'd probably guess maybe like 6. It's sort of like a version of myself that I might see, or I have some photos as well that I might have around that I
Yeah.
might go back to.
Hmm.
But yeah, I guess just a younger version of me.
Yeah, which usually the first 6, 7 years, we don't really remember that much, so it's
Mm.
interesting of you. I actually had a podcast guest who says that she puts a picture of herself when she was in around that age on her
Mm.
desk, and sort of a reminder that this is, I'm doing it for her, or,
Mm.
how would she want me to react to this or respond to this particular situation? So, I find that such a cool practice, and I'm like, "Oh, I keep forgetting that I wanna do that too, to have it on my
Yeah.
desk just as a reminder." And how important is that when it comes to mindfulness work? So maybe we can maybe switch gears a little bit and talk about mindfulness, and I know it's been a buzzword for quite some time now, so how do you define it? What is your definition of mindfulness?
Yeah, usually when people ask what I do and I say I'm a mindfulness guide, they're just like, what is that?" It is a
Still,
title
huh?
that I created, that felt good for me. But
Yeah.
mindfulness is the practice of awareness. So it comes from Buddhist traditions where we're being really intentional about what's happening, or noticing what's happening in the present moment. And when we're doing that, we want to do it with curiosity, with compassion, and non-judgment. It's a skill. It's something that we can practice through things like yoga or meditation, or activities that we can do where we're just simply observing. Maybe, taking a moment to be outside and listening to the birds chirping. It's warmer now in Toronto. So yeah, just kind of noticing like the temperature on your skin, maybe the breeze, or just taking these times to start to kind of get back into reality, because for many of us we might be working in this like autopilot mode where we're just on to the next thing, thinking about things that we have to do, thinking about things in the past, but making sure that we really take the time to focus on the now, because this is where we live right
Mm.
now in the present moment. um, so mindfulness, I think it's so important. And I think it can be such a simple activity, even if it's just a few minutes.
Mhm.
So yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting you saying that because I usually do my morning walks. And I was actually using them as a way for the longest time, as a way to habit stack, right? Get my calls
Mm,
in, get the messages in, maybe even, do some light, I guess, audio versions of stuff. I need to listen to this podcast and I'll listen to it. Recently, Erica, I bring my phone just in case, but I've
mm,
just been listening to the birds. And you're right. Like, it's been so lovely, like different birds and just hearing maybe the trees moving and just smelling, like just really being present. Can I tell you, it's a totally different experience now. Like, I don't even want to, take any calls or answer any messages or reply to any messages. I'm like, no, this is my time. I'm going to
yeah,
eventually, I think, leave my phone at home, because that would really be the best. But I like to take pictures of, if I find anything that's really interesting to share. So I like to take pictures. But yeah, it's been a game changer for me. When did your mindfulness journey change or start to begin? When would you say that
yeah.
happened for you?
I would probably have to say, I can't think of a specific year, but I think definitely in maybe like my mid to late 20s. So I was starting to work like a full-time job, and sort of the kind of the first things that I can remember. I used to love just going to chapters, or well, it was chapters at the time. I'm just looking at different like spirituality books, and I did pick up one, and it was about mindfulness. I
Uh-huh.
started doing some of the practices there,
Uh-huh.
and there was a particular situation as well that happened, where I was dating someone at the time, and it didn't sort of end well, and I was very disappointed, but more importantly, I was very angry, and I didn't really know what to do with those emotions. And it
Mhm.
concerned me because I was just so angry at this person for I felt really betrayed, you know, you're spending time and energy with someone and then they just, you know, ghost you. And I actually started to get into podcasts. So there was a podcast. I can't even remember what the institute was, but it was like an Australian institute of like meditation or something like that. So I ended up doing a lot of the meditations, and it was very, very helpful.
Mm.
At the time, I didn't have, you know, maybe the funds to be able to get a therapist to talk it over. But it did really, really help me. So I want to say that the journey kind of started there. And then, you know, practicing yoga, had opportunities then to be able to learn more about the different tools that we can do, breath techniques, that kind of stuff. So my journey, it started a while ago, but I would say it sort of got stronger into sort of what I'm doing right now, or just kind of like pre-COVID time. For many of us, COVID was a very transitional time. And for me, I felt really called to go to a retreat in Bali. And um, I went on this trip, and I'm very grateful that I did, because when I came back, that's when COVID hit. And at the time, I was living on my own and needing to separate from work. So I was using a lot of like, we would meditate in the mornings, like for 30 minutes. So a lot of the practices, the yoga practice, those are the things that I use to separate work life from my personal life, but also to move through a lot of the emotions that were happening too, because we didn't know what was happening. You know, I was on my own, so it became a part of just my mental health overall, you know. Yeah.
Wow. And so when did you transition into becoming an entrepreneur? When did that happen?
So during COVID, I had an opportunity where I was able to kind of reflect on what I wanted to do in this sort of second other. I like to call it like my work chapter, like chapter 1, and then after COVID was like chapter 2. And I think just having that openness and being reflective is what opened me to different opportunities. So it wasn't like I was like, I'm going to become a mindfulness guide, or like learn these different things. I had reached out to a meditation teacher that I met at a meditation studio, who like I had gotten sort of our work to work with, because I've always been a proponent of like mental health and meditation, yoga, and I just kind of reached out to her, Natalie, I'll say her name, Natalie, and we just had a conversation kind of as we're having right now, and it led into a mentorship. So I started working with her, where it was a group, we call it our innovator group, and we were just able to sort of hone our skills of leading meditation while understanding ways to care for individuals who are listening to our voice or us as guidance. And then maybe a month later, I ran into someone on the street who I hadn't seen for a while, and she mentioned that there was a yoga teacher training. And that was sort of a leap for me, where I was like, okay, do I really want to invest in doing this? And funny thing was that earlier that year, so when I had come back from Bali, we were playing for New Year's, we were playing Two Truths and a Lie. And I thought, hey, I just went to Bali, so they'll probably think I'm going to become a yoga teacher. So that was one of my lies. And of course, they thought it was the truth, and it wasn't. But later that year, I did teacher training. So
Wow.
it wasn't even a plan. It was more of a like following a nudge
Mhm.
or an opportunity. I mean, I even think of times when maybe we had meditation led at the last sort of corporate job that I did. And, you know, there's like a little like, I could do this, not like arrogantly, but I was just like, oh,
Yeah.
I could do this. But so just kind of these like little seeds that, you know, now when I kind of look back, I'm so my path has been more in taking time to reflect and then sort of following those nudges that lead me to then these opportunities
Yeah.
that I'm able to then learn about myself and then learn how to care for others, and then wanting to take that knowledge and then share it with others, you know, so with family, with friends.
Mm.
So So yeah, I think that's
Beautiful.
like a
So
long way to answer your question.
no, no, it's so lovely. It's so lovely. So in terms of those nudges, that's you're referring to intuition, I'm assuming? Is
Yeah,
that
I think for
most
me, intuition and just like a knowing. I think I've had many situations or downloads where I just like even when I made the choice to go to Bali,
Mhm.
I just remember maybe I should share this story of how I
Yes.
chose to go to Bali. I was going to there was a yoga teacher who I loved. I was taking Krista, her classes, and she had shared that she was having a retreat that was coming up. And I thought, oh, like it would be so cool to go to Bali. I looked at the price and I was like, maybe next year. Because it was more than what I was willing to invest at the time, and it was coming down to kind of or I guess, yeah, it was still around the time that she was kind of promoting it, and there was one time that I went to her class, and I usually liked when I go to the studio, I'll go to the room, and then I'll put my mat out, and when I entered this time, though, there was a guy there who I've never seen, very good-looking man, kind of not like the typical that you might see at a yoga studio. So he definitely stood out to me. And I put my mat down, and when I came back into the room, there was another mat like right beside mine. So like very, very close. And in my mind, I thought, that's probably his. And it turned out it was his mat. And throughout the class, so he was beside me, and the teacher kept saying his name a lot. Reza, Reza. She kept saying his name. And so anyway, I had that class, and then maybe a couple weeks, maybe months later, I saw that she had posted a picture of herself and him on Instagram. And so I was just reading the post, and she was sharing like just what a beautiful human he was. And at the very, very end, it said like, although you're no longer in your body. And I was like, what? So he passed. And so I remember seeing her that week, and I just, gave my condolences, and she seemed very upset. And so then however many months or weeks went by, and I didn't know exactly when her last class was, but this particular yoga studio had two locations, and I happened to go to their second location. In the summer, I usually like to run, and I always sort of like to go a little bit further every year. And I got to a point where I was all the way near like Harborfront, and that studio was there. So I ended up just, I think maybe it was a random class that I went to, and she was there teaching. And it turned out that it was her last class in the city. So I took the class, and then she had mentioned that it was her last class. So I went up to her at the end, and I just wanted to thank her. And then I burst into tears. And I was just like, sorry, like, I don't know why I'm crying. You know what I mean? And I told her, I said, I was thinking about your trip to Bali. And she says, well, I have one more spot left. And it turned out it was his spot.
Oh,
And he had paid the deposit. So he
right.
actually covered my trip to Bali. And
Wow.
I told her, I hadn't told her in the moment because I was like very emotional, but I did tell her when we were on the trip.
Mhm.
So he actually helped me to go to Bali, and it was a very, very healing trip for me. And
Mhm.
I think that that's really where the seed of sort of everything that I'm doing right now kind of, or maybe like the biggest seed happened when I went on that trip, because I came back, COVID hit, I had those practices to help me, and then began to actually learn how to facilitate. So I'm
Right.
like, yeah, but I
Oh,
don't tell everyone that story, but it's a part of my journey, and I thank
mhm.
him for helping me. So
That is beautiful. That's so
yeah,
beautiful. And because,
yeah,
Erica, I don't believe in coincidences. Like, there is a
yeah.
reason for us, also to me, for you to maybe tell your story on this podcast.
Mhm.
Things definitely happen for a reason and for a purpose. And thank you for sharing that.
Thank you.
That's interesting, very
Yeah,
incredible way on how you got into doing this work. And
yeah.
so you followed these nudges, you followed these, I guess, little signals that were telling you. And how do you know? Do you know, is it something that is felt or is it an energy? I'm just curious because we're all different, but maybe if we can find maybe there's a common formula for people.
Uh-huh.
I find that especially women, I also have a special I feature a segment on this podcast. It is Uplift Her Leadership Series, where it's leadership stories of women going through their journey, like personal journey, and intuition comes up a lot. And it's something
Mm.
that I feel women are have it way better than our male counterparts, but we don't tap into it. And
Mhm.
and maybe school, socialization, or even our parents who did their best with the resources and the knowledge and the awareness that they had at the time. But I feel like a lot of these things that happen to us in life don't allow for the development of this trusting this intuition. So,
Mhm.
do you feel like you've always had it or something that you've sort of built? And can you like maybe elaborate on that and give us some tips if well, that what works for you, you know?
Yeah, I don't know, it's hard to describe. I think for
Mm.
me, maybe it's a resounding yes in my body. I do work with or I respond well to signs from spirit, so I
Mm.
don't know, sometimes I'll just get a sign and I'm like, "I know that's for me." And I think
Yeah.
that that's just kinda come with practice in terms of acknowledging that it's a sign as opposed to questioning, "Oh, maybe it's not a sign." It's like, "Nah, this is a sign."
You
Because
ask?
even, like, after I had that conversation with the teacher, and then I remember I called my dad because he had been to Bali before. Rita, I've never been to Bali. I've never traveled out east. So I just remember calling him and I said, I think I have to go to Bali." Like, that was it wasn't or maybe I said, "I have to go to Bali." And then I just told work, I said, "I have to go." I gave probably shorter notice than usual, but I just found the money and I ended up traveling, following her on this retreat. So I think it's just been out of practice. Like, okay,
Mhm.
I
Mhm.
feel that I need to do this. And not to say that there isn't like, oh, maybe I shouldn't, or like, this is crazy, Erica. But I think that there's just this like, I think it's time to do this. And, I'll consult my cards sometimes too and whatnot. But I don't know. I guess it's just a feeling for me. It's just a knowing. I think I just kind of get these downloads and especially when I meditate, I find so, or when I kind of leave that space to reflect, these things just kind of come to me. So I think it's just maybe something I've always had and am kind of learning to listen to it.
Yes, even more. I
Yeah.
love that. In terms of you mentioned that it was something intuitive or a feeling, or do you find that it's always the same feeling or it's different every time?
No, I feel like it's maybe just a decision. Like we're doing this, like it's happening.
Yeah. So there's a knowing, as you mentioned. And when you do ask for signs, or they're just kind of appearing.
Sometimes I ask for signs and then sometimes things will happen and I see it as a sign.
Hmm.
I don't know,
Hmm.
like a specific bird, maybe the way that the bird is looking at me or,
Yeah.
um, I don't know, I'm just been open to listen and
Hmm.
just, yeah, I don't know, it's just hard to describe.
Yeah.
I think we all probably have our own, like kind of call or,
Yeah. Everyone's
what that
different.
signal is for
Yeah,
us, but I don't know, it's
for
just like a
sure.
knowing maybe like in my heart and my body that it's time to do this?
Yes, and I love that you said with practice, and many
Mm,
argue that that's exactly what it is. It's just like a muscle.
mm,
The more you use it, the better it works for you. I often say that about our diaphragm, right? Because not a lot of us are working with our diaphragm, but again, the diaphragm is a muscle, and this
mhm,
intuitive listening, being open to it, is just a practice. That the more you do it, the more it works for you, and the more you start trusting it, and then you know that it's guiding you in the right direction. And I love how you said you made yourself vulnerable and said that there are times when, even though I'm following this nudge, there's doubt, there's self doubt, right? And so, how do you tell that voice to bugger off and allow you to take the course that you want to, that you're meant to be on?
yeah, and sometimes taking the action towards it,
Mm.
like paying for that flight that's
Yes.
happening? Or yeah, just I think investing when we invest in it, it then is we're moving in the direction of the decision is
Yes.
when we are, yeah, like, so,
Yeah. So let me ask you this, Erica. Do you believe in taking the wrong decision or making the wrong decision? What are your thoughts on that? What's your personal opinion?
yeah, hmm, I think sometimes we might, as we come to a decision, we think, okay, what is the right decision? What is the wrong decision? I think I trust that I will be led, or I ask to be led in the direction that is going to be for my highest good.
Mm.
And sometimes, yeah, we do take directions that take us on a path that maybe we weren't expecting, or it was more challenging than we expected.
Bit of a
But I
detour.
think, yeah, I think that there's always a lesson in it. So I'm always trying to find or trying to understand the reasons. And sometimes you can kind of hurt your head thinking about the reasons. And
Mm.
sometimes you just gotta have to let go and just like it's like a maze, right? Or those labyrinth. I love to do those labyrinths where, we know that there's an end, but there are some where we have these really short turns, and then other times we're like moving for such a long time, and you're like, okay, where is that point? When are we going to change directions? But we don't necessarily have control of that. We have control through our choices. But yeah, I don't, I'm at a point now where I don't want to say that a decision is wrong or right. I think there's a learning in everything.
Mm.
Yeah, it can be challenging. You know what I mean? Because there's not many things that I regret doing.
Mhm, mhm.
I think there are things that, maybe that maybe that didn't have to happen in that way, you know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But all I can do right now is keep moving forward,
Yes.
right? If we live in the past, or I can change it around, I can change direction, I can acknowledge that it happened, and then, Erica, what am I going to do now? Like, what's the next step here? And that has been a part of maybe the reparenting too, is just encouraging myself to, all right, keep going and try to be objective about the experience, take what I need from it, and then use it towards the next situation. Like, oh, I've seen this before, red flags. We've experienced this
Mhm.
before,
Mm.
and it's allowed me to be more confident and more discerning in my choices because of the experiences that I went through. So yeah.
Exactly. I love that. So if there's someone listening and they need to make a decision, they need to take, a slightly different, I guess, trajectory in their career, personal relationship. As a mindfulness guide, what would you recommend them? How would you recommend them to take this on?
I would never want anyone to like make an abrupt decision. Obviously, you want to think about the pros and cons, but I think overall it's really about, what does your heart most desire? What is it that you really want to do? Maybe starting to think about what your options are. I think a lot of the times we think we're in a box and there's no options at all. And I think sometimes the universe, it shows us options that we might not have even considered. So it's really opening ourselves up to like what other options are out there for me. And maybe as you start to explore those other options, you'll have a better idea and sort of be guided towards the direction that your most sort of your heart is leading you into. So it's really individual. I
Mhm.
mean, everyone has different circumstances. Individuals they have children to care for, they have family, you know what I mean?
Mhm.
A lot of people are making decisions not just for themselves, but it affects others as well.
So
I
is
think I would just guide, if it was maybe a client that I was working with, I would just maybe start with, what are our options? What are your options here? Maybe you could take a leave from your work to help you to understand what it is that you want. I don't know, just trying to open up their mind to the possibilities,
yeah, I not
and then allowing them to maybe take some baby steps. Maybe it doesn't have to be a leap right away. Maybe there are some baby steps along the way to
yeah.
sort of explore, or getting them to actually sit and think about, um, like, there was a client that I was working with, and a question that I asked was, is this behavior that you experienced in other similar situations? Because is it the scenario that's the problem, or
Mm.
is it your reaction to the problem? So it's just trying to understand where maybe the source of the issues are, and then trying to make some decisions that, one, might be sort of logical and neutral as we look at and get curious, and then starting to lead into like, what are those little steps that you can take towards exploring whether or not this is sort of the right path, or not right path, but the path that is
Yeah.
really, really heart centered for you, because, I hear individuals who are so burnt out and they're working in jobs that they don't actually even enjoy being in. So
I know.
why, it can be challenging to sit with yourself and to question these things. It can be very uncomfortable, but it is a part of growth, right?
Mhm. So when
Yeah.
you talk about meditation and using meditation to help you
Mhm.
make these decisions and strengthen though that intuition, is there a specific type of meditation or that you would recommend?
For me personally, I like silent meditations, and it just allows me to sort of observe my mind, where my thoughts are going,
So
and
that's like no
then
music, no, it's not guided. It's just
no.
wow, that is hard. I
Yeah.
can't even do
Yeah.
that is
Yeah, yeah. So it can be challenging, but when I do it, there are kind of periods where I can kinda step away and be more of a watcher. And that's where I can sort of be a little bit more open to messages, or sometimes they come a lot faster. It really depends on how I'm feeling. So I encourage people to just explore types of meditation that some might just be even just music, having music in the
Mhm.
background,
Mm.
meditations to encourage a particular topic. So I actually just did a meditation. It's called Taking a Leap of Faith. And it is trying or supporting individuals and encouraging them to choose that path that is going to be more promising and more fulfilling for one's soul. So those are things that I like to explore with people, are trying to understand what resonates for them. Also, even just a certain voice, right? Some people might
Yes.
resonate more with
Mm.
a very like calming voice, or some people might want more of a talk style.
Mhm.
Insight Timer is a application that I use. I have tracks on there, and I also use it myself daily. And every day is different. Sometimes I need a voice in my ear to help me out. Other times
Mhm.
I prefer silence. Or sometimes maybe it's just going for a walk, right?
Mm.
So it really depends on the person and how you're feeling for the day, how you want to feel. So I know for me, I tend to, I can't tell people what they need, but I can help them try to understand themselves a little bit better and be able to then find the tools that they need. I want to be able to give people that empowerment to be able to find what supports them. I'm not, hey, try this, but if as I'm listening to the person or as I'm working with them, hey, maybe I should recommend this. And then give them some ideas there. So
Mhm. Yeah, beautiful.
mm.
Well, I didn't know you were on Insight Timer. I subscribed to that, so I'm gonna look for you now.
Yes.
Beautiful. Which takes us into a nice little segue in the speaking of leaps, what
Mhm.
was the biggest leap that you have taken so far? Or what is the biggest leap?
There's a leap that I just took recently, hence why I created that meditation. But I think one sort of that stands out for me is I was living in an apartment for about 10 years, and this was the place that I lived in when COVID happened. For me, it was a neighborhood that it wasn't the healthiest neighborhood, and energetically, especially. And I made the choice that I wanted better for myself, and for me to obtain something better, I felt that I needed to let go of my place. So, for those of you who live in Toronto or just in general, so I was like grandfathered into a pretty good monthly plan, but or rent, but I was like, I want better for myself. And not to say that the place was perfect. There were definitely things that were problematic about the management, about the conditions of the place, but that was another moment where I knew I just kind of wanted to get away for a little bit. And it came to a point where I was thinking, well, maybe I don't necessarily have to come back to this place. And I made the decision to leave a place that I was there for 10 years. And then it was also kind of like, I've been here for 10 years. Like that's kind of a long time to be in a place. And I definitely put as much love as I could into that place, but I knew it would never be what I wanted it to be, what I dreamed of, what I knew I deserved. So giving up that space was a big decision, and it was a closing of a chapter for me. And I actually ended up I went to Barbados. I took some time there where I was able to sort of connect with my ancestry, and that's where my parents are from. So I had some time there. And when I came back, I started from square one, working my way up to where I am right now, and the place that I am. And I'm definitely in a healthier neighborhood. So that was probably a very big leap because it involved my safety and security in a home that I was ready to give up. But I did it because I knew I wanted better,
Mm.
and that place actually got renovated after I left. So it was as if the home also got a nice renovation too,
Yeah.
for the new owner. It had like a new life, and
Mm.
a lot of the decor and stuff that I would have wanted, but again, it was
Yeah.
management. They were more focused on how they could save money than actually on the quality of the living there.
Mm.
So yeah.
Wow. So how do you trust that flow of life to just sort of go with it? And I guess we touched a little bit on it, but if there's anything else you want
Yeah.
to add,
No, I mean, yeah, I just
those
keep trusting.
nudges.
I think for me, I've always believed that there is a higher power out there that, I mean, there's been situations that have happened for me that you just can't explain. Like, you're just like, I never would have thought that something would have manifested in that way. So it's almost like I've seen examples of the power of my desires and trusting that. And yeah, there's definitely moments where my faith wavers, but somehow I always just come back to like trusting. And
Hmm.
music is a big thing for me. I like to surround myself with music that empowers me, or sometimes even just like a random song will pop in my head. And then that's like the song that is helping me to overcome any sort of doubt that I have about moving
Mm.
forward, or an experience or an invitation comes to something that is encouraging me to not, you know, because I mean, there's been many times that as an entrepreneur, I've been, maybe I should do that 9 to 5 thing, like maybe this isn't working anymore, so, but I don't know, there's always been something that happens that is like, keep going.
Yeah.
And that kind of leads me to my most recent leap. And it's a leap just like because I want to spend more time on my mindset. I feel that I've kind of done things as much as I can on my own, and now receiving support to be able to allow abundance into my life, like really allow it. And not to say that I don't have abundance, but there's more that I want to be able to do and to be able to access. And I think that I am holding myself back. So embarking on it's like a 6 month mentorship or program that I'm working on my mindset. So that is probably the biggest leap that I've taken. But once I made the decision, it was like that was actually easy to be able to get the support or the funding that I needed to be able to do that, and just having that faith to know that what I'm learning here is then going to be something that I'm going to be able to bring back to my community. you
Right.
know?
Yes.
I've only been doing it for 2 weeks and already I'm learning so much. So
Hmm.
so any training that I've done has been very, very valuable. So I'm looking forward to like where I'll be after this program, and just sort of even just how my sessions are going to shift with the knowledge and the work that I'm doing right now. I think maybe the hardest work that we have is actually just working on
Yeah.
ourselves, is learning to understand ourselves and working on generational trauma, like doing the things that our
Mhm.
family wasn't able to do, breaking generational curses and all that kind of stuff.
Mm.
I think that is the hardest work, and just reframing my mind that success is easy. It's easy, but if I'm holding myself back from it,
Mhm.
I'm going to just keep perpetuating beliefs, patterns that are not supporting me to actually thrive.
Yes. Yeah, 100%. I agree.
Mm-hmm.
Because then you're the alignment leads to that authentic self, right? Just connecting
Mm-hmm.
to the authentic self. And then when you're connected to your authentic self, you're in alignment, like you're definitely going to attract the right opportunities, and you're going to be open to those, to accepting those opportunities, to receiving that abundance. Because sometimes we're block ourselves from receiving because we're so not used to it, right? So yeah, definitely doing the work is something that I highly, highly recommend for people to do, especially when you're an entrepreneur. Nobody's gonna be like your manager,
Yeah.
right? Like tapping you on the shoulder and saying, "Hey,
Yeah.
you should go on this course, Erica." To
Yeah.
you have to do that. And again, listening to those signs and nudges and I'm sure, maybe it's an ad that comes up, right, on your feed or something like that, or maybe you hear it every once in a while and now you keep hearing it more, right? That reticular activation system that they call it, where it's coming into your field for a purpose, for a reason, right?
Yeah.
Again, no such thing as coincidences. So I'm excited. Well, we'll definitely have to have you back on and talk about this if you've learned, I'm sure you've
Yeah.
learned something
Yeah,
new,
yeah.
applied it. And that just brings me to like, how do you create your experiences now? It might change after the training that you're going to be
Yeah.
doing in the next 6 months, but how do you create your experiences now?
Yeah, usually I start with working with the individual or the group or whoever is managing the experience, and I wanna get an understanding of who's gonna be there and the why. Once I have an understanding of that, then I like to co-create, so I'll kinda throw out some ideas like, "Oh, maybe we could do this," or, "Are there any particular practices that you want to incorporate?" Some people have they have an idea of what they wanna do, others are more open. So, yeah, it's just gaining information first about what the intentions are, who it's for, and then I'll start to build from there, and find that usually closer to the event, sometimes there are things that happen in my own personal life that inform the experience. So I'll start to bring in, I might tweak a couple things to incorporate things that maybe I've just seen or learned, or again, just trying to incorporate sort of my intuition or those nudges of ways that I can make it an even more rich experience. So it's more
Beautiful.
intuitive,
Yeah.
but with all the training that I've done, it's nice because I have all these different tools. Like, oh, we
Yeah.
can use this. This will be a great representation
Mhm.
of this particular concept. Or, yeah, incorporating sound to support with nervous system regulation. So I just enjoy just being able to play and just
Mhm.
create something that's really heart centered. Yeah.
Yeah, so true. Curate something really personalized. Do you do these more online or in person or kind of hybrid?
For me, in person has been more it's been more in person. I actually was in Switzerland, earlier this year, and I did some sound baths, in a pool. We were there for the World Economic Forum in Davos and supporting we had conversations about water specifically, and then I was able to lead people into a meditation experience where, prepared them to enter the water, observing the water, the sounds, the smells, and then slowly getting them to really take their time and observe as they met the water. And then they were able to either float on water or they were able to use like those pool noodles and actually
Mhm.
have like a float in the water. So for me, like, I would love and I'm looking forward to more experiences like that where we can just
Beautiful.
build something in a space and
Mhm.
have these really beautiful, meaningful experiences. And I love to travel. So it
Yeah.
was my second time actually in Switzerland. I went as a baby. So this is my first adult experience there. And it's such a beautiful country. So I look forward to going again and just being able to create more of these like pop-up experiences and as an entrepreneur, the fact that I can just travel to, like, create an experience like that, like, I love that.
Yeah.
And,
The
um
freedom.
yeah, freedom to be able to just to create and impact more people internationally.
I love that. So, what is the most common advice you tend to give people about mindfulness?
I think it's easier than people think. I think people get in their heads about how to practice it and it
Mm,
needing to be perfect, but, I mean, how you even just started the podcast, that was probably maybe under a minute,
mm.
but that was a mindful practice. So it doesn't have to be a perfect, like you have to be in this, seated and cross-legged in meditation. It can just be something very simple, taking a pause in the park. It could be that sort of moment before you eat, having gratitude for your food. Like it can be very simple. And I think a misconception too is that when we meditate, we are trying to empty our mind, but it's more of just observing our mind and then also seeing if we can, in a way that, okay, I'm Erica, like I acknowledge, I hear these thoughts. Let's see if we can allow that to kind of float away like a cloud and start to maybe focus on my breath, maybe focus on the sensations or what I might hear around me. So I
Hmm.
think I think easier said than done.
Hmm.
And just, yeah, it doesn't have to be perfect, but it is a skill that we can practice just as we go to the gym to build a muscle. We're building a skill, the muscle
Yeah.
of being able to be a little bit more calm and feel more grounded. And I mean, there are days that I have my meditation practice and I'm feeling very anxious because there's, okay, I got to do this, I got to do this. But when I acknowledge that, I usually need the meditation even more if I'm feeling anxious, you know? But
Yeah.
there are some times where I'm like, okay, maybe this is just a 10-minute practice and that's okay, you
Yeah.
know? Giving myself that grace that it doesn't have to be a perfect 30-minute session, but if I did something today, then that's better than nothing.
Yes. Thank you for that. That's beautiful, beautiful insight and advice. So, what are your top three non-negotiable self-care habits? And I can guess what one of them is.
Yeah, yeah. Definitely meditating. And if there are mornings that I have not meditated, I can feel it. I can feel it quite quickly. It's the feeling anxious, feeling scattered. And sometimes I have to actually sit and like, okay, girl, we're going to meditate. Like, just take a
Hmm.
moment, just pause. Or sometimes I might, for whatever reason, maybe I'm running late or something, I'll dedicate time later. But I usually aim for about 30 minutes, whether it's silent, whether it's guided. And then for me, I really enjoy Sunday evenings. Like that is my I like to be home. I like to have like candles, music, and just really setting the tone for my week ahead. That is something that I really enjoy doing. So, you know, when people invite me to like stuff on Sunday nights, I'm like, that's my me time. So I'll make exceptions here and there, but I don't know. There's just something about Sunday night that I really enjoy. For me, rest and sleep. I have friends who know me if we're having a part like I don't know, I go over to friends a gathering. When I have that like in my body, I'm ready to go. I'm ready to go. And they know. They know. So I'm grateful that I have friends that understand, but I don't like to push myself past a point where I really enjoy my bed. I enjoy sleeping. I enjoy getting a good night's rest. And obviously there's exceptions, you know, you want to enjoy yourself, but on the most part, sleep is very important for me, but also having rest as well. So for example, we're doing this podcast. I blocked out an hour of time so that I have time to just sort of reset
Mhm.
or prepare for the next thing. Love putting
Right.
spaces in my calendars to allow myself to rest, especially if I am like leading an event. I'll make sure that, especially even the next day, I don't have anything right away in the morning. I want to make
Right.
sure I have time to
Yeah.
just do me, connect with myself, make sure that I'm good. So yeah,
Hmm.
30 minutes of meditation or whatever time is best for other people, prioritizing a time for you to just have that chill out time for yourself and rest and sleep. Very,
Yeah.
very important for me.
Mm. Well, that is beautiful. So, just to wrap up, Erica, what is your legacy? What do you want to be known for?
I'd be known for someone who has been or is an advocate of mindfulness and just imparting practical, sort of everyday things that we can do, rituals that we can do to be able to love ourselves, to reconnect. And I actually created a card deck. It's called the Everyday Mindfulness Oracle, and it has 30 different ideas on how we can practice mindfulness. So if someone is new to mindfulness or maybe even just kind of returning, those are our ways, things that I want to leave that people can continue to use, or experiences that I've created, like 30 days of mindfulness. Those are things that people can do. Dedicate a
Mhm.
month of being able to come back to themselves, to learn about what practices are really resonating with their body and just creating
Mhm.
experiences to that people that are going to be memorable and impactful in people's lives to help them to get back on the track of connecting with themselves, loving themselves.
Yeah, that's so beautiful. And so, if anyone's interested in staying in touch, connecting with you, maybe practicing these 30 days of mindfulness, where is the best place?
So they can connect with me on my website. So it's aurabodyandhome.com. I'm also on Instagram. So you can find my handle again, info at or a body and home. And then also I'm on an Insight Timer, so I've got a few tracks there that you can listen to, and I have that Leap of Faith is gonna be on there soon.
Amazing. And you do have a special offer for our listeners and viewers?
Yeah, so the 30 days of mindfulness experience that I mentioned, it is going to help you to learn different ways that we can practice mindfulness. So it goes into a concept that I call a mindfulness blend, and I'm offering it to each of you listening 50% off the
Wow,
experience.
thank
So you can
you.
use the promo code Goddess88, and that way you can start at the beginning of a month. You can jump right in if you want. It's a self-guided experience, but it's a way for you to learn a little bit more about yourself and to commit to a practice for 30 days or 31, depending on the month, or 28. So but you can
Yeah.
always play around with the dates.
Thank you, Erica. That is so gracious of you to do that for our community. And I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart. Your voice is so soothing. I can't wait to listen to your because I
Thank
was
you.
just using the Insight Timer this morning and I was like, oh, what should I listen to? So I can't wait.
Mm,
You definitely embody what mindfulness is, and I could just see it. You're glowing. This is exactly what you should be doing. You're super passionate
Thank
about it.
you.
I'm so grateful that you have taken some time out of your busy schedule to be with us today and share your story and tell us what drove you to do what you are doing. Give us some really cool insights, practical tips, and rituals that we can adopt today, right away, to this
Mhm.
evening. And my next breathwork event is on a Sunday evening. So hopefully you'll
Okay.
make that exception. I was
I
like,
can make an
no,
exception.
I think you'd really enjoy it. So I look forward to seeing you, to connecting with you. Good luck on your on that self-development program that you're on.
Thank
And would
you.
love to have you back and tell us what you learned and how you're applying
Yeah.
it in the work that you do. So thank you so much from the bottom of my heart for being here today.
Thank you, Rita. Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you for tuning in to the Self-Care Goddess podcast. If today's episode inspired you, share it with another woman who's ready to reclaim her vitality and lead from within. To continue your journey, be sure to subscribe, leave a review, and connect with me on ritasavoya.com. Until next time, remember, self-care isn't selfish, it's your superpower. Take a deep breath in, exhale, and keep rising. Ciao for now.